All right, what's going on, everybody? A little bit apprehensive about making this video. I've never done one like this. You guys will have to let me know if it's a good idea or not. Basically, I'm making a response video to my own video, or at least to the comments that I got from that video. And I'm going to try to clarify some things. Let me catch you up to speed. So last week, I made a video with the title, Stop Clearing Content, Endgame Players. And I tried to be as clear as I possibly could right up front. As soon as the video opened up, I said, hey, don't take the title literally. There's only so many characters I could fit in a title. The point of the video is to proceed with caution when approaching new content, because you don't want to accidentally send certain catalysts, certain other resources into the overflow that you can't use right now. And then you don't want to regret that later when you actually do need the rank up resources, when the game inevitably changes and when the next rank up takes a different type of resource than what you might be used to with wherever you're currently at in the game. That was the idea of the video. I essentially wanted to give players a different tool, just have players thinking differently, more of a stop and think before clearing content rather than an actual stop clearing content. But I got a ton of comments, and I think some people misinterpreted my message, which I take blame for. I made things about my own situation maybe more than I should have, so that's probably my fault. So I'm going to try to clarify what I'm talking about while responding to comments in that video, because I think it'll be easier to do that rather than try to reply to all the comments and things like that. So yeah, this is a follow-up to my own video, response to my own video. Okay, so one thing I got a lot was, hey, we don't have that same situation as you, because I said I'm not clearing variant 5 and variant 6 because right now my tier 5 basics, they're capped out. They just go directly to the overflow, and I don't want to lose them because they're a very valuable resource, of course. And I got a lot of comments from people saying, like, dude, I mean, your situation is not everyone's situation. Most people are not capped out or anywhere near capped out on tier 5 basics. So let's adapt that to a different resource. And to be clear, once again, I'm talking about end game players here. And end game I described as anything variant and beyond, because variant difficulties, that's kind of like the entry level end game content where you need specific champions to get through it, whereas before that happens, you don't really need specific champions. You need good champions, but they don't have to be too specific. The nodes don't require it. So this is for end game players still, okay? And for end game players, every end game player, everyone who is in the variants and beyond, is dealing with tier 4 class catalysts. It's definitely one of the catalysts that you have to manage, and a catalyst that can easily get out of control as ranking up champions takes a lot of tier 4 class catalysts. There was a time where when these were first introduced, we just needed 3 of one class type, and that's how you maxed out a 4-star champion. I mean, it's still how you max out a 4-star champion, but that was it. These days, you need a lot. You need, I think it's like 10 or something like that you need to take up a 5-star champ, or 12 or however many it is, and 6 stars is like spiraling out of control, man. You need a ton of these things, so it can very quickly get out of hand. And I get a lot of questions about players saying, like, oh, should I do variants or should I do Labyrinth of Legends? You wouldn't believe how many times the question comes up about Labyrinth of Legends. And fair enough, it's a good question. Looking at these rewards, you might think like, the rewards here, they're okay, but nothing too crazy. Honestly, I think the rewards for Labyrinth are still really good, considering that the difficulty has gone down, because we're able to rank up champions higher. We have newer champions like Aegon, Guillotine 2099, Strife. So the difficulty has gone down, but you can still, and you could still take advantage of these resources, but you could also very easily let them just burn up to nothing. Let them expire in the overflow. So if you're in a situation where you can't utilize these tier 4 class catalysts, don't look at Labyrinth of Legends. Go to a different piece of content. You can let the rewards dictate where you go to some extent. Of course, you always have to have the right champions and so on, but let these be your guide on what to do. And if you don't have anywhere else to turn to, let's say you really do want to tackle Labyrinth of Legends next, Okay, that's totally fine, but maybe take a little bit of prep time to burn down some of your class catalysts to not let them go to waste. Rank up some other champions, get yourself in a position where you can hold all of these things. And that's the idea behind the video, is just really think about, before going into some content, how you can best manage your resources. So that'd be an example for the tier 4 class catalyst. I want to talk about book 2, act 7 for a moment here, because I did mention act 7 in my video, and I said, hey, if I didn't do a Legends run, at this point I might not be 100% done with act 7. Well, it doesn't mean I wouldn't have done it at all. I like the way that Kabam is rolling out rewards these days is they put the rewards on paths, and you can target specific things. So maybe I would have just left the tier 5 basic alone and scooped up the other things, and then for my final paths, once I had some room in my inventory, and I would have made sure that I could get the room in my inventory, then I would do the paths that have the tier 5 basic on it. Again, you can't always do that because sometimes you have to do the paths that you have the champions for, but just let this be another thing to think about when approaching new content. That's kind of all it is just think before going into content. Absolutely clear content, but think about it before you go ahead. Same thing with the variants. Now, I already talked about variants last time, and my reasoning for not doing it because of tier 5 basics, but it's not the only rewards in the variants. Some people are capped out on rank up gems. These things have an inventory cap, and I've seen these rank up gems expire before. So it's just another thing to think about. Make sure that you can actually use all the rank up gems that you're picking up. I guarantee there will be a time in the future where you're gonna wish that certain catalysts did not expire if you let them expire, type of thing. So yeah, just think about all that stuff ahead of time. Now, some people equated this to hoarding content. I saw that comment a lot, and I know some people were joking around when they said, you're hoarding content just like you're hoarding crystals, but I also know some people meant it, and there is some truth to it. There is a little bit of intertwining the concepts of holding off on opening up crystals and holding off on clearing content. But there's a very key difference that I wanted to address in this video. I have nearly 30,000 crystals. I don't have nearly 30,000 pieces of content to do. I have the 2 variants that are not 100% cleared at this point, and I have 1 Path of the Abyss. When I made the video last week, technically I had 2 Paths of the Abyss, but I'd been talking about for a while now how I'm going to be finishing it up. So very soon, I'm only going to have the 2 variants left to clear, and that's it. It's not like I'm holding off on every piece of content because I just never want to use a resource or something like that. There's only those 2 things. The way I see it is that, yeah, there is a little bit of that same concept of, just like I was talking about with the tier 4 class catalyst, where you want to you want to kind of empty your inventory of them, or maybe not totally empty it, but you want to make room before you do something like Labyrinth of Legends. Well, before I open up my class catalyst crystals, of course I want to use the class catalyst in my inventory, right? I think people understand this concept generally. If you've been playing the game long enough to have a supply of tier 4 class catalyst crystals, it's common sense. Like, why would you open up those crystals? You're just gonna let them expire. But this is a little bit of a different concept of just, not clearing content right away. Still clear content, just don't do it right away. And again, there's a big difference between the two. So these crystals, I have these crystals, and when I need class catalysts, all I gotta do is hit the button to open them, and then they're mine. I might not get the class type I want, but that's all I got to do. They're mine. When it comes to clearing the content, you have to put in the time and the effort, the energy, maybe the revives, the units, whatever it's going to take to get through that content to get the rewards. So I always like to do the content first before going to the crystals. The crystals, that is absolutely a way to exceed the inventory cap that we have. And technically, you are exceeding the inventory cap by holding off on clearing content as well. But again, the difference is it's not such an immediate just click of a button, these rewards are mine. And you know, even if you clear everything but like one path, still your champions might be tied up in war or alliance quest, or maybe you're in another quest altogether and you can't even start a quest or something like that. So yeah, the idea is to kind of burn whatever resources you have in your inventory. And when I say burn, I mean, you know, use them to rank up your champions, then get more resources through clearing content. Then, if you still need more resources, pop open crystals. Kind of roughly in that order. It doesn't always work out in that order, but hopefully you guys get what I mean. So yeah, there is a little bit something to not clearing content right away. And there is a slight connection to that and hoarding crystals. But they're still very different concepts at the end of the day, ultimately. So this is it really does just come down to having another tool to help manage your inventory, help manage your resources. That's all it is. Inventory management and resource management, all that, it's a humongous part of this game. In my opinion, it's just as big a part as the actual fighting is. It's just how well can you actually manage your resources, how well can you manage your time, all that stuff. So this is just another tool to be thinking about. Okay, a little bit more on the personal side here. Some people pointed out when I was talking more about tier 2 alphas, they said, well, dude, what about your glory? You're like practically capped out on glory. Why don't you spend some in the glory store? And I guess they didn't watch the full video, because in the video I said, yeah, one of the ways to get tier 2 alpha was to go to the glory store and spend your tier 2 alpha on it. I spend glory on tier 2 alpha every single reset. I usually pick up like 7 of them. The reason why I hold on to my glory for such a long amount of time is because the amount of glory that we're getting is fairly consistent. Sometimes there's spikes, certain crystals or certain events, the crystals from them actually have some glory in them and things like that. But for the most part, it's a relatively consistent amount of glory that we get from Alliance Quest, and I don't expect that to change really, because there's a glory cap too. So it's gonna stay pretty consistent, I think. But if you notice, the prices of the glory store, they go down over time. And also newer things are introduced over time as well. So I always like to keep glory on hand for when the price drops happen, when new things hit the store. Even though I don't always pick them up, I'm not picking up these tier 5 class catalysts. These are the newest edition. I'm not picking them up. It feels very expensive, so I'm not going to do that. But that's one of the reasons why I hoard glory. Another reason is the rainy day rank ups, man. Right now, I'm good on tier 1 alpha. I know tier 1 alpha is a big problem for a lot of people. It's a big bottleneck for a lot of players. And it used to be for me as well. I used to pick up tier 1 alpha from the glory store all the time. These days, I don't find myself needing as much of it, but they could be gone just in an instant, man. Like, you actually have to have tier 1 alpha in the overflow to do certain rank ups. Like to take up a 5-star champion, if you just pulled them, if you want to take them to rank 5, you better have some tier 1 alpha in the overflow, you know? So if I ever am in a situation where I just don't have enough tier 1 alpha, I can come to the glory store, I can quickly max that out, or even max it out twice, like 2 weeks in a row. Or if I am finding myself needing to pick up more tier 2 alpha, because I'm kind of staying afloat by picking up the 7 that I'm picking up weekly at this point. But if it turns out that I do need more tier 2 alpha, okay, I can make the adjustment. I can pick up even more on a weekly basis, and I'll watch my glory, kind of fall down week to week. But I want to be able to be in that position. I want to be able to do that. So that's why I hoard the glory. Also saw a bunch of comments saying that I have tier 2 alpha in my crystals, and to open the, whatever crystals I have. And I have a bunch of them. I have the map crystals, the daily crystals. There's even some other crystals that I have that do contain tier 2 alpha. But even still, I would come up short for the amount of tier 5 basic I have. It's kind of the same thing when people say like, oh, the only reason you don't have sig stones is because you're not opening up your sig stone crystals, which, hey, I'm holding on to a bunch of these things too. But let me tell you, man, if I had triple the amount of sig stones that I have here, I still couldn't catch up prestige wise. You know what I mean? It's that type of thing where even though I have these tier 2 alpha within these crystals, it still wouldn't be enough to rank up all the champs that I'd want to rank up, which is part of the game. Like, I get that. Part of the game is we're given limited amounts of things, and it's up to you to decide what is the best way to use them. But there's champions that I don't have currently, champions that exist today in the crystals that I'm opening up crystals for, that I would love to rank up, that I'm saving certain catalysts for, or champions that have not come out yet. I want to be ready to be able to pivot if I need a certain champion for maybe the next global coming to Alliance War or something like that. It's not necessarily a good idea just to immediately burn every resource you have. And I know people who don't hoard their crystals, and like I said, they're still finding themselves short on tier 2 alpha. It's not a ton of people. It is, some alliance mates and some other, usually master level players, but not always master level players, because of the imbalance there where there is no tier 2 alpha and the rewards type of thing. It really can mess up your inventory after going through season after season after season of just getting these extra tier 5 basics. So the other thing is too, like I mentioned in the last video, you might not want to use the tier 5 basics right away, even if you could, even if there was the exact ratio, whatever ratio you'd want, because at a certain point we're going to be able to take our 6-star champions to rank 4, and then here is where we're going to be using a lot of tier 5 basic. Now again, maybe it was my fault for throwing out some kind of cynical views in addition to mentioning this as being a possibility for the ratio that we have in game. And of course, some people are always gonna pick on that. I don't know. I just felt like including them. I usually don't include that sort of thing too much, but again, maybe that's my fault for going that direction with it. But yeah, I mean, some people also said, I think this is the last thing I want to address, is people are saying, so what you're saying is don't open crystals, don't clear content, don't have fun. Isn't that why we're playing a game, to have fun? Yeah, absolutely. First off, you could do whatever you want. It's just some advice. I'm just trying to give you an additional tool, something else to think about, a way to better manage your own resources that, in theory, will increase the amount of fun that you could have with this game. But if that's not the way you have fun, if you don't mind having catalysts expire from time to time, or maybe you just don't have that issue at all, cool, man. I don't care. Whatever you do on your account has no impact on me. You could open up all of your crystals. You could do whatever you want, really. I don't care. You could sell your champions, even though it's not something I'd ever recommend. You could sell all your champions. It's not going to bother me any. So yeah, it was just some advice. That's all. Take it or leave it. It doesn't have any effect on me. But in any case, I think that's going to do it. Those were kind of the larger points that I wanted to address from the comments on the last video. Again, man, I don't even know if I'm going to upload this video. I don't know if this is a good idea, having a response video to my own video, but it ended up being longer than I expected to, of course. But if I do upload this video, well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.